Hey everybody, Jeff Joyner here, and today I'm going to tell you a story about the lesson I learned from Corbett the Custodian. Before I get into it, make sure if you're enjoying these videos that you subscribe to this channel, that you hit the notification bell so you can be notified when I put out more videos. So you may know that many years ago, at the early days of my career, I spent 5 years on the faculty of Miami University in Oxford, Ohio. And I taught classes in communication, public speaking, speech comm. Also was the coach of Miami's speech team. And we go around and do speech competitions at different colleges and universities around the country, around the world. You may have seen some of my videos of some of the adventures we got into when I was in Greece and other places doing that. But we had our offices in this historic building up in Oxford called Bachelor Hall. And there was a kind of a suite of offices that was Bachelor 157. And that hallway, that suite of offices is where I met so many extraordinary people, many of whom I'm very good friends with to this day. People that have gone on to do amazing, extraordinary things. I don't even want to start naming them because I'm going to miss some. But very cool time in my life, to be sure. But we would mostly be working with students in that suite of offices in the evenings, right? Because this was an extracurricular activity. And so the kids would be going to classes during the day, and then we would be coaching and training for speech competitions in the office in the evenings and sometimes late at night. Well, there was a custodian who was assigned to, I don't know, was the whole building or maybe just the first floor. And his name was Corbett. And he would come around at night, usually when offices and classrooms are empty, and empty the garbage cans, clean the floors, wax the floors, all that stuff. And but we were still there. And so when he would come in, I got a picture of me and Corbett that I took because I really liked this guy. Here's a picture of me and Corbett back in like 1995, almost 30 years ago. And he would come in and he would I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you guys. No, Corbett, come on, you're not interrupted. We appreciate what you do. And this dude was one of the nicest, kindest, just polite, hardworking, loved his job. And every time more and more, we'd start talking to him. Corbett, tell us about yourself. Well, and found out that he was a Vietnam veteran, served his country in the Army in the Vietnam War. And like, dude, that's amazing. And thanks for your service. And played the guitar. Used to hang out with his friends at the VFW, and was a member at his local Baptist church. Just a good dude. And we really liked Corbett, that he seemed to love his job, right? That he had a passion for it. And he really acted and talked as if what he was doing was serving us. And you know what? He was serving us. He was doing an important job, and not a glamorous job, but an important job. And so one year, Corbett was around for years. And one year we decided, hey, it's Christmas time. We should take up a collection to get something for Corbett for Christmas. I doubt very many faculty are getting Christmas gifts for the custodial team. And so some kids on the speech team, we all chipped in, we got some money, and we got Corbett, like a gift card or something. And we wrapped it up and gave it to him. And we were waiting for him to come like last week, right before Christmas break. And sure enough, here comes Corbett right on schedule. And hey, Corbett, we got something for you. And we gave it to him. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most special moments of my whole life that I can remember. He was blown away that we gave him a gift. He's like, no, you guys, he's very soft-spoken, really. You don't have to do. No, we want you to have it, Corbett. And he starts slowly opening it, very carefully. And we're like, come on, Corbett. And he takes the wrapping paper and he sets it aside and he folds it. And we're like, hey, Corbett, rip it open. And he goes, no, I'm going to save this wrapping paper as a remembrance of how nice you guys are to me. And I was like, oh my gosh. And so wished him a Merry Christmas. Off he goes on his way. What a sweet man. Well, the next year was actually my last year at, I think it was my last year at Miami. And I'm like, all right, we got to get Corbett a gift again. That was cool. It was a cool experience for us, giving that to him. And so this year, not just the handful of, 20 kids on the speech team, but I decided I had 3 classes every semester of like 30 kids each. I'm going to hit up these 90 kids. So I told my students, I had classes Tuesdays and Thursdays. I said, hey, on Tuesday, I said, hey, on Thursday, we're going to be taking up a collection for the guy who cleans these classrooms. He's the guy who empties that garbage can every night. He's the guy who cleans these floors. He makes sure that the light bulbs are working in here so we can have class. He's the one who scrapes the gum off the bottom of the desk when you stick it on there. And so you don't have to give. I can't make anybody give. But on Thursday, if you got a few extra dollars, bring them on Thursday. Well, you know what? There's a lot of rich kids that go to Miami University. And so on Thursday, we took up a collection. And it was huge. I mean, it was like $700 is what it ended up being. We're like, oh, it's too much. It's too much. How can you, So we're like, well, what do? We go down to me and Julia Maroli, who's now Julia Carver, close friend of ours. We went down to like the university bookstore and bought like this really nice, the nicest Miami University red jacket they had. I think we got them a Miami watch. We ended up giving them like a bunch of cash. Merry Christmas. We couldn't keep it. And Corbett was moved by that and very appreciative and just such a good dude. Well, one day Corbett came in and he had some bad news for us. He said, as much as I love you kids here in Pastor 157, I'm getting transferred to another building. No, Corbett, say it's not so. You're our guy. We don't want any other custodians. Tell me who I need to call over there at, fiscal services to make sure you don't get transferred. And he said, no. I need to be transferred. He goes, I'm working on my certification. He was trying to get qualified as like a master custodial services technician or something, but I didn't realize that they had different levels and you had to know certain things about cleaning, different types of services and different chemicals, and it's probably really, really difficult. And most people never hit that level, but he was shooting for that. But in order to get that, he had to get experience in different kinds of classrooms and buildings within, the university setting. And so we bid farewell to Corbett. Hate to see him go. We got a new custodian named Ricardo, who was a funny dude. But he was no Corbett, let me tell you. And so, for years we talked about, Corbett, we missed Corbett. He's a good dude. And I ended up leaving Miami University and went on to do other things, went to work in the food industry and then started my own training company and have gone on to do many, many things. And, hadn't seen Corbett in like 30 years. But when I started this YouTube channel, I started thinking about, who are some of the people that maybe some of the lessons that I've learned in life. And I said, I should make a video about what I learned from Corbett. And let me tell you, here's the real lesson of what I learned from Corbett is that dude did an ordinary job in an extraordinary way. What he was doing was not a job that most people would aspire to or dream of having, but he did it in a way that made a difference in people's lives. He was a blessing to a lot of people, not just in the physical work that he was doing, but in the way he treated people. He exuded love and kindness in a way that was very inspirational, and I never forgot. So back in 2001, like the summer of 2001, I think, summer, fall, I'm like, I should track down Corbett. I don't even know if he's still working. He's probably retired by now. It's been 30 years. He's got to be retired. That's a career. That's a lifetime. And he was older than I was back then. He was probably, 50 then, and which seemed real old at the time. And now I know that's not that old. And so I tried looking around. All I know is his name's Corbett, and he worked at Miami University. So I called over to Miami University, the physical facilities office, and I get someone on the phone, and they're the ones that, run. I had to do some research to find out which office runs the buildings. Well, find the right office. I said, hey, I got a weird question. I'm trying to track down an old custodial friend of mine. It's been a long time. Is there anybody who's worked there for a long time and might remember? And they're like, oh yeah, this guy, he's been here forever. And I'm like, all right. So I get this guy on the phone. I say, I'm trying to track down Corbett. Do you remember Corbett? He worked at Bachelor Hall. And he goes, yeah, Corbett Noble. Like, oh, that's his name, Corbett Noble. I didn't know that. He goes, oh yeah, he worked here for 20 some years. And, but he retired. He's been retired for a while now. He lives in Hamilton, I think, which is kind of one city over. And I said, okay, thanks. Does anybody have any contact information? No. Well, through the power of the internet, I started doing some searching. I was able to track down Corbett Noble. Sure enough, lives in Hamilton. Find a phone number. I call him. Oh, and I recognize his voice right away, his sweet voice. I said, Corbett, you probably don't remember me. This is Jeff Joyner. I used to teach in Bachelor Hall 157. Remember the students? And it took him a minute to place me because he served a lot of people in his long and distinguished career. And then he remembered, the kids on the speech team and how we gave him Christmas presents, and I always loved seeing them. And man, how are you doing? We talked for like an hour. Told me about his wife who had passed away. Told me about the work that he does with veterans still, and goes and puts flags on military holidays for soldiers who have passed at the cemeteries. And just a good dude. And I said, Corbett, I know this might sound weird, but would you let me buy you lunch? I got a great picture of you and I from 30 years ago. I'd like to get another one of you and me. Can I take you to lunch someday? Maybe we'll meet up at Mac and Joe's in Oxford, get some chicken wings. And he goes, oh, that would be great. That'd be delightful. Thank you so much. And man, I go, when do you want to do it? I was heading out of town, and I said, I'm going to be back in town next week, maybe next Tuesday, Wednesday. I'll call you start of the week and we'll set up a time. Called him at the start of the week, and he wasn't home. Left a message, but pretty sure it was a landline that I was calling. And hey, Corbett, Jeff here, want to get back together. And I didn't hear back from him. So I called again later that day, called again the next day, called again later that week, called the next week. I'm leaving these messages and never heard back from Corbett. And you know what I realized? It's kind of a weird thing. Some guy that barely knew you 30 years ago wants to meet you for lunch somewhere, and maybe he thinks I'm trying to sell him something or trying to scam him in some way, or maybe he was just uncomfortable, and maybe he was just, I don't know how mobile he was. Maybe he had a difficult time getting out and about. And so never did connect with Corbett, but I still think about him all the time. Well, just last night, I was laying in bed. It's like 1 a.m, and I thought of Corbett like I often do. And I'm like, whatever happened to Corbett? So I get on my phone and I do a quick search. Corbett Noble, Hamilton, Ohio. And there was his obituary. That Corbett died in December of 2021, right after I talked to him. And he's survived by a lot of, looks like in his obituary, a lot of amazing, loving family members. And I don't know if any of them will ever see this video, but your dad, your grandpa, your uncle, Corbett, was a good man. He made a difference in people's lives. And I really wish I had got a chance to get back with him in person, but I'm so glad that we caught up on the phone. And I got a chance to tell him how much he meant to me in my life. And I told him, I do speaking and training today for hundreds of thousands of people. And the difference that Corbett made in my life to make me, I think, a little bit of a better person, a little more thankful, a little more kind because of his positive example in my life, that's been paid forward now to a lot of other people. And if I've made a difference in your life, it's partially due to Corbett Noble and the job he did as a custodial and maintenance worker at Miami University way back in the 1990s. And so I don't know what you do watching this video, if you own your own business, if you work a job, if you're a student, but man, do it with all your heart. Figure out a way to do it in a way that's a blessing to others. Be kind to everyone. Follow the example of Corbett. I think you could do a lot worse. God bless you, Corbett, and your family. Rest in peace. I know you're a believer, so I'm expecting to see you in heaven someday.